So one of the things that was on your supply list was veggies, and they make great stamping materials. A lot of the veggies can just be used as is. Say a carrot can just be cut off, and you've got the flat part of the carrot, and you can use it as is. But potatoes, particularly, and potatoes can be used as is too. You've got a great shape here, kind of an amorphous kind of circle. But another nice thing is to carve them so that you can create an image that's more than just, say, an oblong thing. I've got a couple different kinds. Well, they're the same kind of potato, but I've cut them in two different ways. They're both kind of big, kind of russet potatoes. I've got one that I've kind of cut in half, and another one that began as more of a skinny kind of potato, and that I opted to cut lengthwise as opposed to across the widest part. And the reason I did that is because based on the kind of width of this potato, I could tell that if I cut it in half, I wouldn't have the option, for instance, of using a cookie cutter to create my carved shape. I don't always want to use a cookie cutter, but I'd like to at least have that option. If I'm not going to have that option, I might as well cut it this way, and I've got a bigger surface to work with. So for instance, I could then take my paring knife and begin to cut just a series of slits out of my potato, and hopefully I'll do this well, and it'll create just a series of lines. So I want to kind of cut not too deep, and I might have cut a little too deep, but it'll all work out. So just kind of take that out, and see I've got a well there. I've created a little well where my dye paint concentrate won't go. I want to use my paring knife just to kind of ease out the bulk of that potato matter out of the potato itself. And it might be something that you do in multiple steps, where you cut away a little bit like that. And really what you want to do is you want to create two surfaces. This kind of top surface where the dye paint you'll brush it on, and then the other surface where obviously, because it's missing, you won't have to worry about dye paint sitting there. So again, I'm just cutting this out, and in this particular case, little by little. And just easing it out of there so I can have these lines. And my personal preference is to go ahead and cut it all along here. I might even actually remove this bit because it's barely hanging on with a thread. So I would kind of cut through here and make a series of lines. And I'll have a series of, when I flip it over, I'll have a series of kind of short little stubby lines. And it's a great kind of basic pattern. What you can do with, and then obviously it's as broad as your imagination, what kinds of things you can carve in here. I wouldn't carve anything too elaborate, too intricate, I guess is the word that I would use, because it's going to fill up with paint, with dye. So you don't want to say, you don't want to create the replica of the Mona Lisa in here or something. You want to create just a general shape as opposed to, something very specific. With the kind of more broader ones, the ones that were cut along the width as opposed to the length, you've got the option of using a cookie cutter. And you want to make sure that your cookie cutter is going to kind of fit in this expanse of space. And then you basically want to push it in there. Okay. So I've pushed the cookie cutter into that space. I've basically cut the potato with the cookie cutter. Take it out, and you see that you can see that shape in there. And then little by little, I want to take my paring knife and take out little bits around that shape, around the cookie cutter shape, around these kind of more delicate curves. I want to take out little smaller parts around these kind of broad edges. I can take out bigger pieces. And little by little, I'll take out the parts that are not what I want to print. And what will be left are the parts that I do want to print. I will tell you that these potato stamps are not something you can keep forever. It's, you know, you can use them for a couple days and then they're going to start to rot. But especially using the cookie cutter, what it means is you can recreate it. You just need another potato, but you can definitely recreate it. So I'm almost done taking out the parts that I don't want to print. And you'll see that essentially I have this V shape or this arrow shape, whatever I want to call this shape, and it is ready to go. Sometimes I like to make a little handle. You can make a little handle, especially on these kind of wider based ones. So cut out a piece here and cut out a piece here. And I've made a handle. It's easy to hold on to. And I'm ready to go. I'm ready to use it as a printed stamp for my kind of printing explorations. So that is the process of taking potatoes and making them into stamps to use with our die painting process.